in the right situation, you put the right concoction and formula together with alcohol, bravado, ego, a lot of people around, a lot of eyeballs around, you approach the wrong person talking about, let me see your passport or evidence that you're an American citizen. It can get really hot. Like it can really go down, especially in the Bay, which is the home of the Black Panther Party. So Mario, we are just 2 days away from the Super Bowl, and honestly, I have zero excitement for this game. Now, historically, well, not even historically, for the past couple of years, I feel like we've had some really great games, but at the very least, some good storylines. But heading into this year's Super Bowl, I am just not moved by any of the ones that have been created. So yes, could this be a redemption game for Mike Vrabel and Sam Darnold? Absolutely, but neither of those particular storylines I care about. Like, I don't care about Stephon Diggs and Cardi B. It's just not very compelling in my estimation. And as somebody who grew up in the Northeast and loathes the New England Patriots, admittedly, this game just leaves, I don't know, a lot to be desired from a Super Bowl. What are your thoughts?
I could see where you're coming from, but I do think that the storylines that we have there are some that we can kind of flesh out a little bit, that I think I can change your mind a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Let's do it.
Let's start with this being a rematch of Super Bowl 49. We remember this moment where the Seahawks were like literally yards away from beating Tom Brady and the Patriots. They decided not to run the ball, right? This is something that Marshawn Lynch to this day still talks about. It's something that still keeps him up at night. Give me the ball. I drove all the way down the field. You throw the ball and then it gets picked off by Malcolm Butler, right? That is just like this infamous moment for Seattle Seahawks fans.
Okay, can I interject?
Yes.
The reason why that particular storyline does not entice me is because there's nobody a part of this game that was involved in that game. And those two teams, that Seahawks team and that Patriots team, had greatness on both sidelines. There's no greatness in this. Like, who's great in this game? You tell me, like, who's somebody who you would regard as a top 50 player all time at their position? Like, who is there in this game that you can identify readily as somebody who is an all-time great or legend?
I mean, this could be something that catapults someone's career. We have some young guys like Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is up and coming. If he has a great performance, we don't know. This could be the start of another Patriots dynasty led by Drake Maye. We don't know.
Do we think?
I'm just saying.
Yo, Drake Maye is not all right. Maybe he'll develop into a thing, because Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, he wasn't the best. He got carried by his defense as well. But when I look at Drake Maye, I don't see, I see a guy who can be a starting quarterback, but I don't see a guy who's an all-timer. I'm not going out of my way to watch a Drake Maye game.
I think that for you may think that it's not a big deal, but I think for Seattle fans particularly, of course, this is a big redemption game for them, right? They want to get this championship. And I think that they believe with Sam Darnold, they have the team to do so. And that's my second storyline, Mr. Darnold. Who would have thunk? This is a guy that was drafted to the Jets, right? You claim you don't like the Jets or the Giants.
I have no allegiances.
I don't know. He was drafted to the Jets. They didn't believe in him. They sent him to Carolina, where we all thought his career was going to die. Let's just be clear, okay? They didn't believe in him. They sent him to Minnesota. He actually did some special things with the Vikings last season. They still didn't believe in him. They sent him to Seattle. Now he's in the Super Bowl. That ain't a good story, Rodney?
It sounds like a Lifetime movie. Cool. But just in terms of getting me excited about it, like, it's just not. So this is like, you're the NFL football like expert here, and I'm much more of the basketball guy. But this would kind of be like if like the Milwaukee Bucks was taking on, I don't know, the Clippers. Like just some team that nobody generally cares about. Like, it's hard for me to drum up a level of excitement for these particular organizations, even with the Sam Darnold storyline, because I like to see greatness in big games. And maybe there'll be some great moments, but it's in terms of like all-time legendary players, I don't think we have that.
I don't know.
You care about Sam Darnold?
Though.
No, stop. Are you invested in Sam Darnold as an entity?
I think that I am invested in the Seahawks, in this Seahawks team. I think that they have gone up against the best, right? Because let's be clear, like LA was one of the best, if not the best team.
For sure. For sure.
So they have gone through the gauntlet to get to where they are. And I have a lot of respect for that. Now on the AFC side, you know, we talk about luck when it comes to any sport, right? Luck plays a factor. And in the AFC, that was smooth sailing for the Patriots. Let's just be clear. There's a lot of teams with a lot of great quarterbacks that they didn't even have to see. They had a really good schedule coming into this season. They had a 4th place schedule coming into this season. A lot of things had to fall into place, even down to Bo Nix breaking his leg. Come on now.
Ankle, yeah.
Ankle, leg is the same thing.
Yeah, it feels like a fluke. So one of my favorite nicknames of all time for anybody was Corey Maggette. He was a guy who played many years in the NBA, played for the Los Angeles Clippers. His name was Bad Porn. That was his nickname because it was a lot of scoring, but it didn't look good. So his nickname was Bad Porn. And that's what I feel like this Super Bowl is. Like, it's a big game, but...
I think that's a great segue to Stephon Diggs and Cardi B. So that's
well
another storyline.
Well done. I like that.
That is another storyline. I feel like Cardi B is getting the Taylor Swift treatment by the NFL. And it's shocking. We already saw her getting a lot of special treatment with the Patriots. We know that she was sitting in the owner's suite with Robert Kraft doing the little dances and stuff. We saw that, right? She's down on the field after the games. But after the AFC Championship game, she's getting an interview by NFL Network. People are really talking about Cardi B and Diggs. Like, they're like the new it couple in the NFL. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm just telling you. And I would not be surprised if she performed with Bad Bunny during the halftime performance. I would not be surprised if we saw her do a little cameo. How many times do you think that they're going to show Cardi B during the game?
I don't know that Cardi B is also very anti-MAGA, right? She's very outspoken on her politics. She is extremely left-leaning and often does lives or videos talking about some of the atrocities of this administration. And I don't think the NFL is going to love the fact that this person, is so vocal about her political affiliations.
Taylor Swift was vocal.
No. Taylor Swift was barely vocal, and it only came towards the very, very end of the last election. But in general, Taylor Swift has been quiet. Like, Cardi B she's like a historian. That's one thing about Cardi B I kind of give respect for. Like, she's like a random historian of like government and politics in America. It's the weirdest thing in the world to hear her be so knowledgeable about that. But it's dope. So it's a different level. Do I think the NFL is going to celebrate and champion Cardi B in this game? Maybe, but primarily because there's not much else to show, right? There's not much else to showcase. So yeah, potentially, but I think they're also, of course, going to have some reservations just because of the mess that revolves around, Diggs and Cardi B. It's funny what gets swept under the rug. Obviously, Stephon Diggs has been accused recently of putting his hands on his previous chef. And whether that's true or not true, it feels like in this run to the Super Bowl, people have decided to not report on that, which is always, I find to be fascinating, what stories people want to latch onto versus just let go.
No, that is interesting. And speaking of me talking about Cardi B and halftime performances, we know that Bad Bunny is performing. He has already come out and said that he does not really even want to perform in the United States because of the situation with ICE. But I think that that's a storyline that is probably the worst. It's the biggest, it's the worst storyline. There's a 24% Hispanic population in the Bay Area. And there's going to be so many people that are traveling in because this is such a large event. And to see the things that have been happening in Minneapolis, I think we saw it in Portland, just in random places
everywhere
across the country. Yeah.
Everywhere.
And the weapons, I think, is what really startles me, because these men and women are walking around with like war grade weapons. Why do you need silencers? Why do you need guns that have laser pointers that you can only see, with night goggles on, night vision goggles on? Like, it's just, the whole situation is just so odd to me, and I can't wrap my head around why we're doing this as a country, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that people are saying, higher ups, officials are saying that, oh, nobody needs to be worried about the ICE presence at the Super Bowl. And that's a lie.
Yeah, it's going to be a heavy foot traffic, a lot of people. And these people that are in these ICE uniforms with their faces covered up have had less training than it took for me to get on the sales floor at Verizon selling Fios packages, right? Like they don't, to be able to handle the sheer enormity of what the Super Bowl is. You put these people who, many of which have their own anxiety issues and, their mental health has not been adequately assessed. And you put them in this kind of environment with all of these moving parts. This is a potential recipe for disaster. And I don't, obviously the way that I feel about it is the way that most people feel about it who have a heart and any level of like decency about themselves. But this is going to be the first test to see how ICE will be involved in both the Olympics and the World Cup going forward as well. This is like the starter kit to see what their presence does to an enormous sporting event. And by all means, I don't know why they're being deployed to this area at this particular time. It's going to create so much hostility, because a big part of the Super Bowl is having street vendors, selling a wide array of foods and off-market T-shirts and hats. And that's a part of the culture around the Super Bowl. And to not have that because people are going to be afraid to be swept up and taken away is just unfortunate.
It seems like the event is just going to be so militant when it's not been that before. This is supposed to be a fun time for fans, not just of the two teams that are playing, but just fans of the sport.
Yeah.
But now people, like you said, are going to be fearful to just walk around because you don't know what's going to happen. Are you going to be taken? Are you going to be killed? It's just...
Yeah, there's a lot of alcohol during Super Bowl as well. And like the only means they have by which to try to identify somebody as being a U.S. citizen or not is aesthetics, right? There's not like some real list. They're just looking at people trying to assess whether or not they belong in the country. And so in the right situation, you put the right concoction and formula together with alcohol, bravado, ego, a lot of people around, a lot of eyeballs around. You approach the wrong person talking about, let me see your passport or evidence that you're an American citizen. It can get really hot. Like it can really go down, especially in the Bay, which is the home of the Black Panther Party, which is known to be frontline in terms of some of the things that have gone on in this country. Like this is a community, both San Francisco and the Bay, but I'm putting them together in totality. But that has been paramount in terms of rights and civil rights for Black people in this country. So there's a strong spirit in this particular area, which is very counterculture to what the existence of ICE is even all about. And this is, like I said before, this can be very dangerous. Hopefully cooler heads prevail and there's no issues, but I can't imagine that there's not at least a little bit of a dust up at some point.
Well, you all drop down in the comments and you let us know your thoughts on our storylines. Do you feel like there are some good storylines? Or do you agree with Rodney that this is one of the worst Super Bowls that we've ever seen? We want to hear your thoughts down below.
For sure, man. Also, make sure you tap into our newsletter. We got some good things going on in there about everything going on in the world of sports, not just football, but basketball, maybe a little baseball as well, maybe some soccer. But just tap in with us, man.